conquista tutto. L'amore conquista tutto.
Hey there, it's Curly here. Welcome to episode 45 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. Tonight we have an educational show for all you musos, all you creatives out there that is going to help you get discovered. But before I introduce our special guest tonight, I have to introduce my co-host, the man who's always so much happier when the cricket's on, Australia is dominating, and WA didn't steal your test. Please welcome Braggy. Tave, how is Adelaide, and how did you take the fact that WA tried to steal your test match?
No, mate, no way. That's crazy. I'm glad they didn't, because I'm booked to go see the first 3 days. But how good today, the local boy Travis Head got 100.
Yeah, he's a South Aussie, isn't he?
He's a South Aussie, and so everyone here is going to be wrapped. And next week the test is here, which I'll be at. That's why I can't do the Christmas show next week. That's why I had to postpone it, because I'm going to be at the cricket. So, what about you, mate? How are you going down there in Brisbane? It looked like it was hot today on the cricket.
Oh, she's very steamy today. So, no doubt, there's some storms rolling through somewhere. I just saw on the news. So, who knows what could bring tonight? But we seem to be more and more getting these storms coming through of an evening. So,
I'll tell you the other thing, Tony, this week that was interesting for me was the top Rolling Stone magazine put out their top 200 Australian albums of all time.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if anyone saw that. I was okay with it. I thought that was fine. I mean, yeah, we're oldies, you and I, so we probably a lot of albums we probably didn't disagree with. But I think as far as the time we're in now, I reckon it was pretty good.
Actually, the funny thing here, listeners, is that when you look at the top 10 of that particular list, we're looking at AC/DC, Back in Black, number 1. In Excess Kick is number 2. Johnny Farnham, Whispering Jack, number 3. Cold Chisel East, number 4. Yep. I don't think anyone's arguing at the moment.
No.
Midnight Oil, Diesel and Dust, number 5. Silverchair, Frog Stomp, Crowded House.
Great album.
And then we get to number 8, right? So number 9 was Savage Garden. Number 10 was Kylie with Fever.
Oh, I'm so glad Kylie made it.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, and the listeners are going to get a kick out of this. The only one that I sort of looked at and thought, who the hell is that, is number 8, The Avalanches, Since I Left You. And true to form, my co-host has that album in his collection.
Album. It's a great album. It's a double album. You should listen to it. And the clip for the title track, Since I Left You, is a fantastic clip. Watch that on YouTube tonight. It's a great clip.
And it's interesting, most of the argument has been about who the hell are the Avalanches, and of course Braggy's got that in his collection. So listeners, did they get it right? Let us know on our Facebook page. And the final bit of news is that we've started to see a couple of registrations coming in for the Christmas show, Sunday the 19th of December. It's going to be so much fun. The best way to spend 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon. Braggy's even taking requests.
Oh, so yeah, thanks for putting that out there. God, that's going to be great. See, that's not bad enough.
We'll light up the Barbie, have a few coldies, and really enjoy our show. So registration and the link is, of course, in the show notes. So let's welcome our special guest, Chantel Garrity, a social media strategist, and she's here tonight to help us all get discovered. So welcome, Chantel.
Hey boys, so good to be here.
Now, Chantel, before we start with our inquisition, because as you know, we've received some questions through our website, and I know that Braggy, being the muso that he is, has got many of his own. Tell us a little bit first about yourself and how you became the go-to social media strategist.
Oh, thanks so much for having me on the show, and it's a great place to start. So firstly, you might notice a bit of a funny accent, a bit of mixed of a South African, Australian. So in 2008, I immigrated from South Africa to Australia. At the time, I had identical twin daughters that were 4 years old, and my youngest was 1 year old. And we basically sold off all our paid off houses, cars, businesses, packed up everything and moved to this wonderful country.
Wow.
No Centrelink, no money, no nothing. And my husband at the time, he was going to work, support the family, and I was going to raise the children. But what happened in the first couple of years was that he was made redundant twice, and they were going to put us back on the boat and send us back. So,
Oh, wow.
and no South African wants that. So, what any resourceful mother does, basically sat on Facebook. Originally sat on Facebook and, to connect with my family in South Africa. And South Africans actually don't like South Africa as a platform. They actually prefer WhatsApp. And what I learned was that the industry I was in was personal training industry. So, for those of you, I'm on the Gold Coast here, personal trainer on every corner. They've all got friends, they've all got family, everyone knows who they are. They're all athletes or sports people. So here's me coming with, a mum, 3 kids from another country, no money, knows no one, no startup capital to know nothing, and going, well, I need to grow a business in a saturated industry here, and I've got no money to do it. So I taught myself Facebook, got a whole bunch of stuff wrong, did a whole bunch of spammy things. But what I did learn was that Facebook was a great way for me to position myself. It was a great free online marketing tool. I literally could sit there while the children played or while they slept, and I could connect with my ideal client. I could effectively communicate to them, and then I could get an inquiry and grow my position. So within 5 years, I opened up a health, wellness and fitness center. I was featured on radio, I was featured on TV, and I had everyone else on the Gold Coast going, well, how the hell did you do that? Like, how did you go from absolutely nothing to this? And I went, well, really, it's free ways that I was able to use social media platform. And they went, oh, well, you must be techie and you must be this marketing person. I went, no, I'm not. I'm hyperactive. I hate being online. I can think of nothing worse than to sit and do content and spend all my life online. But what I realized was that it was a great tool if you know how to do it and you don't have to spend your life online. It's a social platform. You can be social. And I basically came up with this formula where it can easily be done without you spending your life online or getting frustrated or overwhelmed. And I've been doing that now full time for the last 6 years.
Yeah, excellent. What a story. So, and one of the key reasons why we wanted to have a chat with you today is because in one of our previous episodes, we had a promoter, James Dawson from Sydney, on the show, and he was talking about now when people get booked, one of the first things pubs, clubs, or those people that hire gigs look at is Facebook and how many followers do you have?
Yeah.
So this is the whole new world that we live in, and it's called stalking, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody stalks, and sometimes people don't even think or know that they're doing it. But at the end of the day, people are going to stalk you. And it has to be a mutually beneficial relationship, meaning that, yes, they're going to look at you and they're going to look at your online profile and your presence, but they are also wanting to generate new people to their venue. They are also wanting to generate business. So they are more inclined to choose people who do social media best.
Yeah. So, Braggy, I can't see you, so
You
I'll
can't
let
see
you
me
go
on here.
first.
Okay.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, so this is the main question I think the first thing I'm going to ask, because most of my friends have asked me to ask this question, and that is, like you just talked about before, Tony, that you book a band now, that the venues go straight online and wants to see how many followers you got. So is any one better than the other? And now the only three that I really know, and there's probably more, is Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So is anyone better, or is anyone better for a certain style of act? I mean, if you're an old rocker like me, is one of the platforms better for that? Or if you're a young, artist, hip hop artist, is there a different? What should you be on a different platform?
So here's the thing, boys. It's not about you. It's about your audience and where they're hanging out. So, so firstly, that's one of the most important things. So we know that TikTok, generally a younger demographic. You've got to look at if your audience is sort of an older audience. Are they going to be hanging out on TikTok looking at music? I would say probably they're more going to be on YouTube, to tell you the truth. And YouTube's owned by Google, and Google's the #1 search engine in the world. So if
Right.
I had to choose for an older person in the music industry, I would say get Google right before and YouTube right before you get TikTok right.
Yes.
With regards
Makes
to
sense.
with regards to Instagram's a younger platform, so it's 25 and under, and it's very much picture based. And stories work exceptionally well on Instagram. With Facebook, it's very much more conversational, and there's a lot of word of mouth referrals happening on Facebook. And Facebook's the number 2 platform to Google. So you really, it means you've got a bigger audience on there. There's more stuff happening on there. So for me, it's always about getting Google and Facebook right. And for you, it would be the same. But the other thing I'd like to say, it's not just about your audience and where they're hanging out. It's also where you are comfortable doing things, okay? Because if you don't create a nice TikTok video and it's not TikTok worthy, you in essence could be destroying your brand. And if
Right,
you
that
don't
was my next question. What's the do's and don'ts?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're not comfortable on TikTok and you're not comfortable sitting there and creating little skits and then really you could be setting yourself up to failure and destroying your online brand. Right. So it can make or break you. And if you're not going to be consistent in it, because consistency is king, like whatever platform you commit to, you're going to have to jump in with both feet and your entire body. So at the end of the day, you've got to follow through with that strategy. So if it's not comfortable to you and you don't enjoy doing it, I always say to people, don't do it. It's the same as if you don't want to be doing, say, Facebook Lives or doing lives on any of the platforms. Don't do it until you are comfortable doing it. Do what you're comfortable at. Get your confidence in those platforms. Make sure your audience is there. More than anything else, make sure your audience is there. And make sure that you are going in and reviewing your reports and your insights so you can have a look at what's working or not working.
Mm-hmm. So there's that little bit of the review process that's really, really important. So, and was that thunder I just heard in someone's background?
It's a massive storm here on the Gold Coast.
The Gold Coast is just about to be hit. So, and
surf's up.
Surf's up. So one of the questions that we received through our website is, and I'm just going to read it. I know I have to be on Facebook, but what should I be posting to do this properly? So at the moment, this person posts when they've got a gig, posts when they've got a song that's coming out on Spotify, and that's about it. So what else should they be doing? Because at the moment, and we see this with a lot of musos, hey, we're gigging this Saturday down at, wherever, or that we've just released this new song. So what else should they be posting to build that engagement?
In between those things.
Yes.
So here's the thing. Okay, you have to think of it like as if you were dating someone. All right?
Okay.
If you were dating someone,
Remember that far back.
and if you were on Tinder and you're messaging each other backwards and forwards, okay, and all you do is, me, I'm over here. Me, I'm going here tomorrow. Me, I'm going there tomorrow. Me, I just bought out something. It's going to really be cold and there's going to be disconnect. All right? So if you never engage your audience and ask them questions and ask them about themselves and what they like or what they think about things, it's not a two-way relationship. It's not a relationship. Okay? Now, the second part of that is that you need to tell your story, because in any relationship, people build a relationship based on you. So at the beginning of this podcast today, we spoke about my story. My story will help you build a relationship with me and trust me that I can give you this advice so that you'll listen and take this advice on board.
Yep.
And that is what people will do. So if people will not just choose you based on the music that you sing or how hot you are looking, they will also want to connect with you in a deep and meaningful level. So if you're a cat person, tell people you're a cat person, because you will start bringing up a whole bunch of people that are cat people. If you're a dog person, bring up the dog. So I generally start with these couple of things. Number one, always just start with who you are, what you're passionate about, some things that you may not know about me. People love that. All right? The next thing would be your journey, your business backstory, your journey to how you fell into what you fell into. And this is so that they can connect with you and it can be memorable and they can go, oh, that's awesome. Number three is you want to differentiate yourself from everyone else in the marketplace. So whenever we talk about marketing or we talk about positioning ourselves online, we always talking about the things that you do that's different to everyone else. So the easy way to do this is that ask people what they know about you or the common things about you. So for example, people always say, oh, Chantal, you're always talking with your hands, and you talk so fast, and you're so practical, and you're down to earth. And when you start using that language inside your marketing, people will connect with that, and people who like that will respond to that, and you'll be chosen on that. I mean, the other day I did a webinar, and I had a guy call me afterwards, and he's like, you were smiling and talking the whole time. I had to pick up the phone and book a call with you. Like, I just had to do that. You know, and he's obviously then the right, you know, would be the right fix, the right client to bring on board. So it's all about personal branding as well. So with personal branding, you need to share those things about you. Now you don't have to share, you know, some people go, oh, do I have to share my family? And I don't want to share like all my private stuff. And that's up to you. I always say that there's a strategy for everyone. There's an extroverted strategy. There's an introverted strategy. Share what is comfortable for you. You don't need to share.
So maybe like this guitar picture is the guitar that my dad bought me when I was 12, and that's what got me into the thing. Stuff like that. Is that what you...
Awesome. That would be awesome. Okay. Yeah. And don't forget to engage your audience and say, like, do you play guitar? Have you ever tried guitar? You know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So some of those old embarrassing videos, Tave, of you back in the day might become repurposed. But I was also thinking
that might destroy my brand.
I was thinking about Tony DePasquale and the boys from Spillage and how they started playing the accordion. So once again, sharing the story and building a little bit of fun with it.
I get it.
Just put some personality into it. So whatever people know you for, if they know you to be an outdoorsy person, then include them in some of your outdoorsy stuff. If they know you as being, you know, you're into motorbikes, then share some of that stuff.
Yeah. So you share something as a whole, not just as I'm the muso, I got a gig. Yeah, I get you.
Yep, you need the relationship side of that, the connection side of that, to build that know, like, and trust. And those are the parts that you put in between.
Yeah. Excellent. So how often should someone be posting? Because I know there's no like hard and fast rule here either. So, and different platforms have, anyway, how often should I be posting?
Whatever your consistency is and whatever your rhythm is, stick with it. Because again, if you're not comfortable with it, you're not going to stick with it. So, you know, if you just get into a habit of going Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, you know, and you can manage that on an ongoing basis, then do that. Okay? So I generally say, you know, at Kmart, they've got these $2 tear sheets. They're amazing. It just goes Monday to Sunday, and there's a whole lot on the page. You could basically map out your gigs over there, put when you're going to market those on social media, like the day before, whether or not you do it maybe the day before. And again, you've got to look at your audience and go, well, when do they put it in their diary that they're coming? Is it a last minute thing, or do they like to like book it in a week before? So, you know, if they like to book it in a week before, well, then you've got to be letting them know a week before. If they kind of on the spur of the moment, then you want to kind of put another post on the Saturday, you know, on the actual day of it, and say, hey, we're here tonight. But then it might be a better use of stories, because stories are only available for 24 hours. So then it would be a good thing to go into stories, which is kind of like a little Snapchat, where it's like, hey, I love it, because it's kind of like a tweet. Literally, it's like, I'm going to be here then at this time, can't wait to see you. And it's just a little da-da-da. And just think about you having a conversation with someone that you like and you want to see and hang out with.
Yeah.
And I think what you've just said will be like a blessing to so many people, because they get caught up in the concept of, am I posting at the right time? Am I doing the right thing? And what you've basically just said is be comfortable when you do it and get into your own rhythm, and that'll help.
Yeah, and then from there, what you'll do is also pay attention to your audience, like pay attention to them and go, when are they likely to do it? When are they likely to book it in? I'll let you know as well that on Facebook, you can create an event on Facebook, and then you can send 500 invites to people that you know that potentially would want to come to that. So a lot of people are not using that feature. Another feature is that on Google My Business, you can set up an event on Google My Business and it will stay on Google. So remembering that algorithms, what an algorithm is the words that you put in, if they match the words that other people are in, searching for things, you will come up in front of each other. So if you're putting in that you've got a gig on the Gold Coast, a rock gig on the Gold Coast at this time on Saturday, and someone's searching online for gigs, if you've got an active profile, just active, consistent, and you've set that event up on Google as well, that event will come up.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
LinkedIn has an event. You can set up an event on LinkedIn. You can set up an event on Facebook, and you can set up an event on Google My Business.
Chantel, is it still worth having a website?
So here's the thing. Okay, my first business that I had, if you don't have money, don't get a website. Okay, websites a lot of money, and websites are a lot of money, and they take maintenance as well. I created my first six-figure business with no website, only organic social media. That was it. No paid advertising at all.
Well, that answers that question.
Nowadays, if you've got a platform like Canva, a lot of you will know Canva, Canva. There's a free version, and the paid version is something like $20 a month, and it's so worth it. You can actually set up a website, landing page, take payment, and even set up a link tree all in Canva, as well as make brochures, branded templates, and other features. I think websites are overrated. For me, I made my money first, and then I got a website.
Okay.
Well, just for those listeners out there, unfilteredandundiscovered.com, we do have a website. So.
Oh, do we? I didn't even know that. But then, Tony, you do all that stuff, so...
You're right, Bragg.
You go.
What works best, Chantel? Photos, videos, or like a text message? I like text.
Are you talking about texting someone?
No, I'm talking about like...
text, just a text, okay.
Just a text post on Facebook or an image or a video. What have you seen that works best?
Okay. Again, this is something that you would test and trial, but you definitely wouldn't just ever use text on its own unless it was, like I said, a story, because stories, you've still got the pretty colors. If I was to use text on my own and didn't have an image, no, I would never do that. I would always use text with a couple of images. If you don't have images, you can always use something like Unsplash, where you can get or other stock-free images, which you could use. However, because of your industry, I highly would recommend that you get some pictures of you, like just get your teenage kid to snap a whole bunch of pictures, or a friend, and if you don't want to share your face or whatever, like whatever you're comfortable with, but those feeling pictures are really important. So you have a whole catalog of pictures that you could just use at any given time, so that people can have a feel or a sense of how you are as a person. So getting photos is really easy. I'd always post with a photo. Video marketing is really important, and video for your industry, of course, is going to be super important, but mostly the audio. So if you do get somebody to come and do a Facebook Live, or they do a video recording, get them to stand really close so that there's no noise between you and them, because there's nothing worse than when someone stands at the back of the room, does a video, and you've got all the talking and the beer glasses clinking and, punch ups in the middle.
Sometimes I've seen people post videos and they're too close and it's really distorted.
Yeah.
Your phone can't handle that.
Yeah, so look, you could test it out. You could just go, do a sound check, do a video check before you go. Video check, where's the best place to take this video, the best sound, and get a couple of clips. And it doesn't need to be long. All the different platforms have all different lengths. But the good thing is, like, I use a Mac and an Apple phone. And on an Apple phone, you can actually just edit and crop the length of the video. So if you get something that's like a 1 minute video, you can crop it for 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, depending on what platform you're going to put it on.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I've got one. Now, I don't know if this is viable, that's what I'm going to ask you. When you go to the local coffee shop, like I do here in Adelaide, like all Adelaideans do every morning, because we have the best coffee in the world in Adelaide. Some of the coffee shops have got their own app, and you can download their app and you can order their coffee and you can go there and pick it up. Is that a viable thing for not just a muso, but any other small business to get an app, or is that? And if you did, how would you use it?
For your industry, let me think. I was talking to someone else today about an app, but they were a coach. I'm going to say no. You don't need another asset in your business. For me, I'm all about you getting what you do right and sticking to the basics, because the more stuff you have, the more stuff you have to manage, and that becomes hard work. So for me, it's about you've got to position yourself as a musician. You've got to build your audience online and build a relationship with them, and there's got to be a connection. So a like, so they're very clear on who you are as a person and what type of music you have. Get that like and trust, turn them into raving fans, and the way you turn them into raving fans is to nurture them. And the way to nurture them is to ask them questions. So don't just talk about yourself, ask them questions and involve them in some of your decision making. So for example, you might say, hey, do you like it when I wear the leather jacket tonight, the brown leather jacket or the black leather jacket, you know? Because that means you're actually showing that you're interested in what they're interested in, and they're more likely to show up because you value their opinion. I still remember when I was a little groupie girl, when I was younger, and there was this guitarist, and he'd always play this one song whenever I came. And, you know, and I used to come because I always used to know as soon as he saw me in the audience, he knew that I liked that song, and he always played that song, right? So you just want to engage your audience and pay attention to them and ask them some stuff, and do that on social media as well.
What songs do you want us to play tonight? If we play covers, you know, what do you want us to put in the set? Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Bragging, I was thinking about those tight leather jeans that rockers used to wear. You might have to pull your pair out and say, hey guys.
Yeah, I'm not doing that one. I'm sure there's other things I can do rather than ask people what I should wear.
But it's interesting.
I'm going to ruin my brand, Tony.
One of the things, and there's an interesting thing behind this question as well. So we do a thing on our website, and it's called liner notes, where we'll dissect a song, and you know, we're not going to put a song out on that we don't like, so they're always a positive sort of a review of a song. And it was really interesting. We've got 4 on the website, Chantel, and when I posted them online on the Unlimited and Undiscovered Facebook page, please like and follow. The interesting thing was there were 2 international bands and there were 2 Australian bands. Both of the international bands shared the post and thanked us for the positive review. The 2 Australian outfits did nothing. So even though they were all tagged and they would have seen the post in their feeds, the Americans understood that, hey, this could be positive for us. I'm going to get it out there. But the two Australian outfits sort of said, oh, my God, I'm not sure about this, or maybe, I don't know. And they didn't do anything. So how should an artist or a creative react or respond to someone tagging them, whether it's at a gig or whether it's because they've liked a song, or what's your thoughts there?
So how would you feel, okay, if, say, you're talking to Sharon Stone and she sends you a text and you just don't even reply, or you go out to dinner with her and she messages back and says, thanks so much, and you just ignore her? How is that going to make you look?
Yeah.
So the sad news is they probably missed that notification. Yeah. And that's the sad truth, because a lot of people do not know how to recognize tags when they see them. They're not looking at their notifications. If you know the series Big Bang Theory, and Penny's always inside the car and the little red light's flashing all the time and she just keeps banging it going, it's broken. That's how some people are on social media. You need to be checking your activity log at least every single day, and you need to recognize what a mention is, because sometimes it doesn't say tag, it says mention. Yeah. And if you get mentioned, you've got to go find where that mention is, and sometimes it's not easy. And the polite thing to do is to respond
and say thanks.
Thank you so much. Share it, and it's about reciprocation. It's about an energetic exchange, but it's just it's just respect, and it's just a conversation. And I think sometimes people would think when it's social media, it's social media and I don't have to worry about it. It's not. It's relationships. These are your fans. You would never do that to someone in person, so why do it to them online?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great
Tony,
answer.
Tony,
Great
maybe
response.
it is a very good response, but maybe, Tony, it's because the overseas people don't really know us that well, and the two Australian bands just went, oh, not those dickheads. Not those two idiots.
Maybe, absolutely.
No, I think Chantel's right. They probably just missed it. And thing. Yeah.
But and they don't know the value of it. So that's the other thing, okay? They do not understand the value of it because, if you continue to do that, if you don't respond to messages from your raving fans, if you don't respond to messages, if you don't engage them in your conversation, your algorithm's going to get shut down. Eventually stuff will just stop coming up in front of them, which means they're going to stop seeing when your events are. You've got the, the bars and that you play for. They'll go in and have a look. Your profile's looking dead. You're not suddenly growing anymore. You've got no reviews because people aren't taking the time to do them anymore. It's just sloppy. And the thing is that if we want to be a business owner, like if you want to be a musician, you've got to own it. Like you got to own it and say, this is my responsibility. For me, if I go to an event, after this, I will screenshot this. It will then go out to my socials to say that this is what I did today. And I'll ask the audience who wants the recording, let me know, and I'll get it to them when it's done. Because I'm involving my fans that are interested in this stuff.
Yeah. That's the important thing too, isn't it? When you make a post, you got to make sure you tag all those relevant people, the venue, whoever else is involved.
Definitely.
So
you've got to tag,
get the message.
Yeah. So you've got to tag the venue, and you've got to tag the people as well. The unfortunate thing is sometimes people don't know how to set up those tags.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. There was a lady who does recyclable, sustainable bikinis, and the business is called Think, Love, Live, Grow or something. And then we went online, had a look, and there's another punk band who had the same name. So every time her fans were going on and saying, thank you so much for the beautiful bikini, they were tagging the punk rock band. Because on Instagram and on Facebook, it's a little circle. It's a tiny little circle of your logo. And if I can't see your face, then I don't know who you are. And if you've got the same name and your name hasn't been differentiated, it's really hard to find. So make it super easy. Like, and there are ways. Like you can go onto the Facebook page and directly under their name, there's an @ and that's the URL. And then to look at your URL on Facebook, you would go to your personal profile and look at the very top. It will say Facebook / and it will have your name. And at Instagram, it will be a little bit harder. You've actually got to go in, search for it, and then look at all the pictures and work out which profile actually belongs to that person. And sometimes they set up multiple profiles, so that makes it even a bit harder because they forgot their login details. So rather than recover their login details and password, they just go create another profile.
Yeah.
If you, Chantal, wanted to pay someone to do this, I'm not talking specific money, but just ballpark. Is it worth it? I know obviously you just did it all yourself, but if you wanted to pay someone, is that a viable? Should you do that?
So firstly, it's an expensive exercise, kind of like Facebook advertising, because you're going to pay for the service. I always say to people, you've got to be careful about outsourcing your voice. And for musicians, you have to be really careful about outsourcing your voice. So if you have a strategy and if you've defined your personal branding and if you've defined who your audience is, and if you have that strategy and that branding sort of folder and strategy and you know that and you have content, then you could give it to somebody else and you'd have to give them clear directions and give them the formula of what you want them to do. Because else, if you go to a marketing agency, this is what often happens. They're working for a concreter, they're working for a construction company, they're working for an accountant, now they're working for a musician, and they just go post, and it looks pretty, but it does nothing. But if you know your audience and you can give them clear directions, because I train a lot of wives. Often the wives get the job of, hey, listen, can you manage our social media? And I'll train the wives quite easily, but it's a different strategy, because you can see here how you're going to have a different rhythm and a tone. You're going to have to know what that is, and you're going to have to give that to someone else. And I would say you still are going to have to provide that content, because if you just give them a picture of you, they're going to just stick up a picture of you. You're not going to have that message, that story, your funny little quirks. And it's the funny little quirks that will get the audience coming back. So if you're talking about money, you can outsource it offshore. It can cost you about maybe $50 a week. You might get about 2 or 3 posts. I can tell you right now, like when you pay peanuts, you get when you pay like peanuts, you get monkeys. However, like for example, we'll do it, but we do it differently in that we work with the business owner. So we'll say, hey, listen, you give us your stuff. We know what you need to do, and we'll put it all in the right places. But then we're not going to charge peanuts. It's going to be a bit of money. So I always say, well, what can you afford to do this with? We'll do some of it, and then we'll give you some directions on what you can do for the other stuff. But it's not that hard. It's 20 minutes a day when you know what you're doing. So if you have your strategy and you know what you're doing, I'm going to actually say that it's going to be less than 20 minutes a day for your industry.
Yeah.
Wow.
And obviously you get better at it, like anything.
Well, the thing is that 100%, it just gets easier and easier. And the good news is you can just repurpose content. So on your Facebook page, if you go into settings, there is a download your page content button. And we download our page content quarterly. That is something then that you can give to a VA and say, hey, all those fillers, the backstory and the what color jacket should I wear and the, what song do you like? They can go and put those fillers in for you, and they can repurpose that content for the last year that you've just done. So make sure that you download your page content. Now, Facebook bought Instagram, which means, which is awesome, but we have to understand that our demographic's different. Instagram is about good pictures, and it is about hashtags, and stories actually work better on Instagram than the tiles. Facebook is about conversational, it's about engagement, it's about getting those tags and those word of mouth referrals happening, and it's about those connections. So you can go into Facebook on a desktop, and you can go to publishing tools, and you can now post or schedule your to Instagram and Facebook in the same place. And you can personalize your Facebook message, and you can personalize your Instagram message. So before, you would just go to Instagram or to jump onto Facebook, but really you've got to remember who you're talking to, because how you talk to a 25-year-old person is different to how you talk to a 55-year-old person.
Correct.
If you want to connect with them on a deep and meaningful level. And then Facebook has also brought out another app, which is called Business Suite. So Business Suite app, and the Business Suite app, you can manage your Facebook and Instagram, and you can even schedule your stories. So whatever the date is today, I have to say the date, 9th of, because it changes all the time, 9th of December, 21. Business Suite app, you can schedule your stories to Facebook and to Instagram, and schedule your posts all in there.
Oh, excellent.
Excellent. Okay. That's handy to know as well. Do you know much about, like, I guess it's the same as Facebook, on Spotify, and a lot of the people we talk to have got songs up on Spotify, and Spotify offers you, if you pay extra, you can get your song on a playlist. Like Facebook says, if you pay extra, it'll boost your post. Is that worth it?
I always like to start at the best place, and the best place starts with the people who already know, like, and trust you. Okay? So it's like when you throw a stone into a river, and then it goes out and out and out and out. Now, when you go onto Spotify, you're literally going to a cold audience. So with advertising, that's why advertising can be quite expensive, and can be a much bigger, longer game. It's because you're literally going anywhere and kind of hoping for good stick. For me, a more successful thing is look at where you are right now. So look at your people that you have in person. Get them onto social media. Get them onto your platform of choice. From there, ask them to share it. Ask them to leave testimonials. Ask them to get involved in your, giving you feedback on what songs you should play and what you should do. Have a growth strategy in those platforms, and point them to Spotify, because once you build them up here, it's, hey, go to Spotify, hey, go to Spotify. Now, when you're doing that organically, your Spotify is going up, your organic reach now in Spotify is going up because you've got more activity. So if you get Google right and you get YouTube right, because YouTube would be a great platform for everyone.
Yeah.
If you get Google right, YouTube right, and you've got your Google My Business, and you've got Facebook, and maybe Instagram, and Instagram Reels might be okay for some people. You don't have to do everything, but whatever you do, do it right and do it well. But first start with the people that you have right now. Are they all on the platforms that you want them on? Have you asked them to engage? You have to actually ask. You have to tell them what you want them to do. You have to get them involved. And then from there, point them to Spotify. Have you liked Spotify? Please leave a review. Like, you need to...
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good advice. So basically what it comes down is know your audience and talk to your audience like they're your friends. That's the basic message I'm getting anyway.
You're a very clever man. So
I'm not. Chantel's very clever. I'm just learning.
Let's talk a little bit about YouTube, Chantel, because when we connected to get you on the podcast, you mentioned to me the concept of getting over 100 followers on YouTube. And I might just throw this into the mix, is that a couple of weeks back we had Fiona Garrett from the DJ Dance Mix Circle, and our stats went ballistic. So on that week, we actually got over 100 subscribers on YouTube, and we got over 100 subscribers on Facebook. So pretty exciting sort of a week, because we just love every sort of music. Why is it so important to have over 100 subscribers on YouTube?
Because Google's biggest value is relevancy. How relevant are you? Whoever is relevant will come up in the search engines. So Google is, YouTube, and YouTube is Google. They're the same company. Yep. So when people are searching for things, whoever is ticking the boxes, being consistent and being relevant will come up. So if people are talking about you, and if people are showing interest in what you're doing, and if they're leaving reviews, and if you're responding to them, you're ticking all the boxes and you come up higher. So YouTube goes, you can have a YouTube channel, but you know what? We're not going to give you your own URL, because chances are you're going to set up your URL, forget your login details, and never come back. And that's what they do, right? And there's a whole bunch of things like that on YouTube. So what happens is they don't show those videos, they won't show those channels when people are searching for things, because what they will do is they will reward people who are doing the right thing. So when you get over 100 subscribers on YouTube, you can go in and you can then set up your personal URL. Don't forget that you've now got to go change that URL on your website, because before it was blah, 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 and now it's going to be your nice fancy name.
Yep, and just so everyone knows, our URL is now youtube.com/C/C
all over it, Curly.
Unfiltered, undiscovered. So we've got our own custom URL.
You're all over it, mate.
YouTube. So,
yay! I helped you get something. Woohoo!
Absolutely, but most artists wouldn't know that. So
No, that's true. It's a great thing.
Yeah. So much easier to say, just look up Tave Bragg on and yell out the URL. So I think that's fantastic advice. So now the last thing that I've got, Braggy, have you?
No, I'm out.
You're out?
Yep.
So the biggest thing, Chantel, that someone can do to get more people seeing their posts, because we know that there's algorithms, and we know that, you talked about dead spaces in social media, and I reckon, there's probably a lot of musicians that have a dead space because they're not aware of what they can do to get more people seeing their posts. What's some of those, maybe 3 or 4 tips that an artist can do to help that algorithm get their fans seeing their posts?
Yeah, awesome. We touched on quite a bit of it already, but making sure that you have a professional, personal brand, and that you're professionally representing yourself on whatever platform you are. Make sure that there's consistency across all the platforms with your name and your URL. That's incredibly important, because you want to make it super easy for people. Then make sure that you understand who your audience is, what they're interested in, so you have a two-way relationship with them through your content. And then my next one is just have a plan, because if you've got, I mean, if we map it out and we go, right, you do a gig on a Friday, maybe you want to remind people the week before, you know, then you're going to go in on a Monday, you're going to set up the event, you're going to invite people to the event, you're going to share the event to a couple of groups, you're going to send it out in your email, you're going to do a story on Instagram, and you know, you go take, I mean, that's 20 minutes. You're sitting there and you're going, boom, 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 boom. Guys, come see me on Saturday. This is where I am, what I'm doing. Please put the location in. The amount of people who do not go, what the location is, or they'll go like, I don't know, like they'll just go, you know, Billy's Tavern, and it's not even tagged. It's important to say Northern Gold Coast, Southern Gold Coast, because that stuff matters, and the algorithm is going to pick up people in those locations. So have a plan. And then make sure that when you get to your event, you make sure that you get video footage, you get photo footage, that you go and do as soon as you arrive at the location, I personally would check in. So I would check in at the location, because you obviously would get there like an hour or two beforehand?
Yeah, depends how big you are, I guess.
Yeah, so you'd get there, you know, an hour or two before, you'd check in, hey, looking forward to it, guess where I am, I'm over here, and check into the venue. The venue's going to love that. Come down and see me. You know, I'm playing this song, which song would you like? End of the night, whoa, everybody rock to this song, play something. Literally takes you 2 seconds to post it. Like, make a rule, don't go home until it's done. Da-da-da-da. Next day, go, that was awesome last night, looking forward to next week, rinse, repeat. Now, when you do see other people tagging you and doing things, make sure that you go and add yourself to the conversation and have a two-way street.
Yeah. Awesome advice.
Great
and
advice.
While you were talking, I came up with one definitely final question. What about groups, Chantel? And I know that that's probably that's a huge question, but if I'm a muso and I've got, say, a fan base of 300 people on my page, is it worth me setting up a group to communicate with them, or have you seen that used successfully for musos?
Look, for me, it's another thing that you have to manage. So here you are creating content on your personal profile, your business page, you know, as I said, YouTube, Instagram, you know, whatever other platforms that you're on. A group is another thing. You're sending them from your page into a group. And again, you've got to get them to engage, or else they're not going to see your notifications. Yeah. I have a rule, and one of my social media strategy rules is get them the hell off social media. So for me, I'm more likely to say, can I have your email address, and send out a weekly email and let you know where I am and what I'm doing. If you had to ask me, one of the things that I regret in my business, my first business that I started out, I would have had quicker and longer lasting success if I had done my email database beforehand. So if you had to say website or email, I would say email all the way, because something as simple as MailChimp, you can set it up. It's free up to 1,000 contacts. You can create a landing page, just a landing page inside there. They could basically go in and fill in their details and say, if you want to be kept up to date with where I am and what I'm doing with my new songs, if you want to have a say in my next title, if you want to choose my next title, my next album cover, or if you want to be involved in what the name of my next child's going to be, people do that, or my next dog, like vote on my next dog, get people onto an email list.
Wow. I've just looked at the time, Braggy. We're 48 minutes in. So, Chantel,
fantastic.
Because you teach people, you help teach people how to do this stuff. So if there's anyone listening out there that's been blown away by your energy and your passion around this, who wants to learn more from you, where can they go?
Jump onto my website, which is chantelgerardy.com.au. Check the spelling, and subscribe. There's actually a whole bunch of free resources in there. So there's 21 content ideas that outsmart the algorithms. So that'll give you 21 of the best content ideas. There's the 2022 content calendar, so you can download that. Oh. So when you go and download these amazing free resources that are on there, you'll then go into my database, and then you'll get my emails, which will share with you my story, some of my hacks, Every time one of the platforms does something new, I'll share it with you, and I'll also share with you some of my services, and the next time I've got a workshop or something cool happening.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. So Chantel, just put up with us now as we go through the final dregs of the show. So Braggy, I can actually see you, so show me what you got before I lose you again.
Well,
so this is our undiscovered 7-inch single session.
I just thought, because of the top 200 albums of all time, and number one was AC/DC Back in Black. So
yeah.
I've got a single from that album.
And I just lost you.
It's Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution.
All right.
Which is off that album, and the B-side is Hell's Bells. I don't know, Chantal could probably see it. Could she?
I saw it for a split second longer
and
than
then I
her,
went,
yeah.
all right. Anyway, what have you got, Tave?
All right. Well, we were talking about this particular band and this particular song last week. It's the Go-Betweens with Spring Rain. So this was the original release. Actually, I think this is a re-release of the original.
If you had an original, it's worth a quid, mate.
Yeah, so it's Spring Rain, B-sides, Life at Hand by the Go-Betweens. Once again, just one of those songs that have just gone incredibly well as it's aged. So
Brizzy band.
Everyone knows the Go-Betweens. So, Chantel, thank you so much for coming on the show. Just so everyone knows, December 16 will be our last official episode of the podcast. We've got an interview with a Brisbane band called Tailor Made Rejects, and we're so looking forward to that. We've got 4 of them coming on the podcast, so it's either going to be an organised chaos or it's just going to be a complete mess.
Yeah.
So don't forget our Christmas show, Sunday session on the 19th of December from 4 p.m. Brisbane time. And, of course, the link is in the show notes. There's going to be heaps of fun. There's quizzes. Braggy's taking a couple of requests, and no doubt we will all have a couple of cold beers and put some snags on the barbecue. 2022, we've already got Mick Madew lined up from the Screaming Tribesmen fame. And, of course, his new band, Mick Madew and the Mesmerizers. We're looking forward to kicking 2022 off on January 13. As per always, we're on Facebook, YouTube, now with our own custom URL. We've got the website, unfilteredandundiscovered.com. Don't forget, we've got playlists now on Spotify. We've got all the songs that we've uncovered and discovered on the Unfiltered and Undiscovered playlist. We've also got our protest songs, undiscovered protest songs. And last week we added the cover versions that we did. So free playlists that you can find and chill out to. Fantastic show once again.
And we'll have links to Chantal as well, won't we?
Absolutely. They will be in the show notes for sure. Chantel, you have just provided so much information, and I hope that everyone's grabbed that on board. From me and Braggy, thanks everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Chantel.
Absolute pleasure.
We'll see everyone else next week. Bye for now.
Acquista tutto. L'amore conquista tutto.